So, being seen, shining your light, sharing your authentic essence, it comes naturally to us as kids, right? Kids are just themselves until the world and people in it teaches them that it's not okay to be so much of yourself. Let's talk about how it can run deeper than that. This is a conversation about visibility, about feeling like you can express yourself authentically, about holding yourself through that feeling of, oh my gosh, I don't feel safe to be witnessed, to be perceived, at least not as who I truly am. I might feel totally safe to be perceived if, like me, you were maybe in character or performing or something like that. But like the full authentic expression, the raw, vulnerable, inner gooey essence of who I truly am, all my magic, I have spent so much of my life hiding that. And it's something that kind of comes in waves because I think as we evolve, our authentic expression evolves. And sometimes we don't feel safe to share what it is right away. So I was a secret mystic for a very, very long time. Like, I had these mystical experiences when I was about 8 years old. Did I tell anybody about them? But no, I did not. Because I was like, they're going to think I'm crazy. I knew that it was not safe in this world to be magical, to have these mystical things. I knew not only from, books that I had read and movies that I had seen, but also from my soul memories, from my Akashic records, that if I were to show the world who I was, which was honestly, if I'm being really honest and candid, and I don't always get this way, um, even when I was 8 years old, I knew I was quite magical. I knew I could do anything that I wanted. I knew that I knew more than a lot of the adults. And I did not share that, A, because it wouldn't have been very well received. It wouldn't have been polite. And I was afraid of what people would do to me because I had these past life memories of being exiled, being drawn and quartered. Most of mine were being exiled out into the desert and wandering alone in the desert till I died. Some of them were more, the being stoned or hung or burned. And I'd love to hear if you have either consciously or this like subconscious kind of visceral memory of being burned at the stake or being exiled for being yourself, your magical self, not just like, you know, you, but all of you. Every friend that I have, every spiritual woman, every healer, every teacher, every client that I've ever worked with has some of this scary memory stuff like deep, deep, deep in the body. And some of it actually isn't even ours. Some of it is collective memory, right? Because we all remember the Salem witches being burned. We all remember hearing about it. There's movies. It's sometimes from our ancestral line, right? We can carry forward those epigenetic memories. But also we can have these implanted Akashic records as well that aren't even our own. But regardless, it's still all of these fears feel very real in our body. A lot of this fear gets illuminated either when there's divine timing, like right now. If you use the tropical system, we're right about a day ahead of the Leo full moon, where everything about visibility and showing up and shining our light is illuminated and bright. So it's coming up for a lot of people in my life. It also happens every time we are wanting to be more authentic in a relationship, right? And really speak our truth. It can also happen when we are following our soul drive to maybe teach or heal or do business as a spiritual teacher, healer, light worker, whatever, author, podcaster, content creator, right? There's so many ways of being visible. And every time we do, there's going to be this I want to call it like a membrane we have to move through. And sometimes the membrane is very permeable and it's just like okay, I can do this. And you pop through it and you're like, okay, that wasn't that bad. Right. But sometimes it feels like a brick wall because it shuts down our nervous system to the point that we're like frozen, right? We're going to get stage fright or we wouldn't be able to press record on the live button, or we do like my first Facebook Live years ago, let's say maybe like 2018, 2019, even though I have a Leo moon, so naturally I am a performer. I don't mind being witnessed. I have very few feelings when I'm up on a stage of like fear and stuff like that, especially when I'm dancing or I'm in like a costume or I'm putting on a character, I'm in a role like MC or guide. Doesn't bother me at all. But the first Facebook Live, I was trembling. I was trembling and I don't remember what I said and I kind of like blacked out and I'm sure I was super awkward and I was like because my nervous system and my ego were telling me stop, no, it's not safe. I mean, it was safe. It was totally safe. Nothing bad happened to me, but our ego is such a tool to keep us safe. That's what it is, by the way, a tool, and we don't have to murder it. It's just teaching about this in the Transformational Journey Facilitator program, all the different levels of ego and what it's there for. It's there to keep us safe and alive. It is a tool our body needs to make sure we survive. We survive attacks, we survive fights, we survive the unknown. So the ego is very much trying to keep us safe. And staying safe means staying in the known and not being very visible, because if you are visible, you are a target. And if you are very visible, you are in danger, right? And we have so much evidence from our life or from the collective or from the Akashics that this is true, right? So the ego is like, just stay small, stay unseen, don't let people know how magical you are. They won't understand. And it's true. A lot of people won't understand. But what I had to walk through, and what I think a lot of you are in the process of walking through right now, and what I had to reach every time I'm going into a new level of authenticity or visibility, is supporting my nervous system to feel safe enough to share. If the nervous system doesn't feel safe because of maybe beliefs or trauma in your body or like emotions that we have, because it's the thoughts and the feelings and the beliefs that create our, our reaction, which can be totally unconscious. If we don't feel safe enough, we will shut down. We'll freeze. We won't be able to share. It'll stop us from doing the thing we want to do. If we move through it, or if we're just a little bit activated, we could just be in that like trembling, I'm frightened, so I want to run away, or I want to fight, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like we can consciously still move through it unless we're dysregulated to the point that we freeze and shut down, right? Like we've all had that dream perhaps where you get up on a stage and you're supposed to speak, but maybe you're naked so you can't say a word. It's the freeze state. I have had to teach my brain that all of those old stories and old programs and old beliefs about it not being safe, that they are belonging to not me, not this time, not this lifetime, not this now. I had to teach and train my brain and my emotions and my nervous system to go, that was then, but right now is a different time. Right now, we're living in a lifetime, in a timeline, in a time period for most of us that are watching this right now, especially people like in the West. I can't speak for all cultures and places, but I live in Canada and I can share my most weird and woo stuff online publicly. And while there might be some people who are going to go like, you're a psycho, you're crazy, you're schizophrenic, when I'm like, I can talk to rocks and dead people and source and the elements. I can do all these things. People might go, sure, right. And they might shut it down, but they're not going to burn me at the stake. They're not going to draw and quarter me. They're not going to exile me out. We have this incredible freedom that hasn't been around really for thousands of years, millennia, to be our most magical selves, our weirdest, most, authentic self. We have a gift right now that many of our ancestors could not even fathom. We're also able to be more visible than any of our ancestors could fathom because our visibility is not being known by the village or maybe a country. It's being able to be witnessed by, like, legitimately the whole world at once if the circumstances were to share it. Being online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, any social media, it's even different than getting onto TV because anyone at any time, anywhere could find you. There is a wild amount of possibility and potential here that I think we have a responsibility as light workers, heart centered leaders, support workers for the evolution of humanity, the helpers, the ones we're here to help. I think we have a responsibility to be seen, to be the light. And not everybody's mission is to be visible on social media. It's not. However, for a lot of you, it is. You are. Even if it's not a business, you're in this group, you're watching me right now, or you're on YouTube, you're watching me on social media. You have a chance to, whether anonymously or with your face next to your name, share your truth. Speak, write, type your truth out. Even that is an amazing start, right? Understanding that the internet and social media and all of these beautiful platforms connect us in a way that is unprecedented. It's so cool. It's also terrifying to the part of us that is like, this has never been done before. I have not had the possibility in previous lifetimes to be witnessed by millions. One of my videos could go viral and a million people could see it. What? I know that's scary. I know it's scary because the first time that I posted a light language video on YouTube wasn't even live. I was shaking. I was shaking in my body. I was like, they are going to murder me. But you know what? I also had evidence when I showed up and I shared my soul voice, when I supported myself enough with their nervous system and been like, it's okay, you're going to be okay. And I did the deep breaths. Oops. I did the deep breaths. I did the alignment with spirit and source to ask it to speak through me. So I felt calm enough to do it. Then I was able to share my soul voice, light language, which sounds like gibberish to people who have a closed heart or they're not receptive to it. I shared that publicly on YouTube, on Facebook. And honestly, some people were like, that's weird. That's crazy. But I also made six figures and got soul aligned clients knocking at my door because they were like, oh my gosh, where are you? Where have you been all my life? I remember you. Who are you? Teach me to do that. Because I was basically able to support myself enough, create enough regulation in my nervous system, enough shifts in my mindset to rewire the stories and the programs and the patterns that it's not okay to share up and be whatever magical being that we are fully. And it has led me to so many opportunities, so many divine connections, so much amazingness, so much magic. A life that I could not have even dreamed of 10 years ago when I was still being pretty secretive about all of my magic. And 10 years ago, I was already running a business. I was already an ordained priestess. I was already a channel. I already, for all of my life, I've spoken with the aliens and the angels and everything like that. And I thought I was very, very authentic because if anyone asked me, and if I was in the right place, like I was in Sedona and I was speaking with somebody who did it too, I would share. And if I was in my therapist's office, I could share that I channeled. I was authentic, I was expressive, but I wouldn't just do it publicly where anybody could see me because that didn't feel safe. I was weird. I was already the like hula hooping hippie lady who, liked crystals and oracle cards and talked about love and all of that and source energy and light work. I did all of those things 10 years ago, but it wasn't until 2019 that I realized I was being called into a much greater level of authentic expression. And I needed to come out as a spiritual teacher and a light worker and stop hiding my psychic powers and my magic and all of that in the grander scheme of things. And I'll be really honest, I didn't really start until my grandpa passed away because I was afraid that this atheist man who was not spiritual at all would just think that I was weird. And I was friends with him on Facebook, so I couldn't share any of that stuff there. After he passed away, I had lots of experiences with him and my grandma coming in being like, go hard, like, do your thing. We got it. We're rooting for you. We know this is important. We get it. So I started sharing first in posts more of my magical stories. And I would post them just to my friends. My Facebook feed wasn't public then. So I started really small because the small version of sharing my story authentically and talking about magical mystical experiences, that felt safer than using my voice or showing up on a live. Gosh, then I don't think I showed up on a live at that point yet. I was like, no, that's not me. That's not what I do. Um, he posted about them and I was like waiting for the rocks and the stones to hit me. And people were just like, the ones that commented were very supportive. They were like, oh, cool. This is so neat. Tell me more. Me too. That's what I was getting. And then I got all these downloads that I was actually here to fully let my freak flag fly. Say that 5 times real fast. I was fully here to be fully me publicly, share my light, share my soul voice, so that the other people who had been secretly, mystically, magically here, kind of in hiding in secret like me, could find me, see that they were not crazy, and then they would know they weren't alone. And I had no idea that the more I did that, the more magical my life would become. The happier I would be, the more authentically free I would feel to be me, the more money I would make. Oh my gosh. So I had to start small. And I started in communities that were smaller, that were full of people that understood and understand, but like bigger than my circle of friends. You know what I mean? I'm not saying if you have this sole desire to be visible, you're a light worker, healer, teacher, that you have to go on a Facebook Live right now and declare publicly to the entire planet who you are and what you do and what you stand for and all of those things. You can if you want, and I will applaud you. And I need you to come back and comment and say, I did it, and I'll celebrate you. You don't have to do that all at once. Start small and grow from there. Our nervous system is how we translate light. It's how we can access our higher levels. It's how our intuition can be available. And the wounds, the things that are keeping us feel like we're not safe, the pieces that we're wanting to protect, um, they're something that we need to clear, heal, and honor. And we don't have to like torture ourselves by just going balls to the wall and going flat out. You can start small. And at the same time, do your healing work, do your clearing work. And I actually have something coming up that is going to be so supportive for the clearing and the healing of all of this wounding, the visibility wounds, the lightworker persecution complex, the witch wound, the throat chakra stuff, and so much more. Because I'm realizing this is what we need right now. Um, it's Lightwork Prep School, if you've heard me talk about it. Um, we don't have to do it all at once. In fact, we'll probably do it layer by layer. And I advise us to do the healing and clearing work while we're also doing that piece around taking the aligned action and sharing, but again, layer by layer, small pieces, you know? Do your first Facebook Live in a private group, even just with like 2 people who are your friends. You don't have to go big or go home. Like that's the wrong way to go about most of this. You can take your time and you can grow into things. You can share little bits at a time. You can share first to the people that feel safe. And when you come up against resistance, when you come up against it, Feel it in your body, notice it without judgment, love it, and go, what does this require to move? And sometimes it's just the awareness. Sometimes your breath can move it. Sometimes a dance or a piece of art can move it for you. Sometimes you need to go into the subconscious mind and repattern it. Sometimes it's deep trauma that requires a professional to hold you through somatic work or through Akashic clearing or something like that, right? But there are so many ways to do this clearing work. And I got lots of magic tools that I am going to be sharing with the world because we need to do more of this clearing work so that we can do the things. Start small and grow from there and notice when you're hitting those walls and go, what do I need to move this? Use the cycles of the moons and the astrology and the planets. And when there's something like this Leo full moon that's coming up right now, if you're watching this in this now, and you can be like, okay, this feels like it's ready to move. What do I need to move? Breath, movement, sound, creativity. You've got tools. The tools are accessible and available. Find them, use them, because now is the freaking time. Okay? Now is the time that we have to, like, it's no longer a should or a get to. It's like the world is waiting for us now to shine because it's chaos out there and they need examples of heart centered, divinely aligned people who have your unique voice and your unique codes and your unique essence. We need to show up now. And I declared this on Facebook that this was the year I was going to talk about light work again because I'd stopped for a while. I decided this back in like December, and it had been percolating for a long time. I used to talk about light work all the time. There was so much distortion out there. All these people, when it was getting kind of trendy, there was a lot of people who weren't fully embodied in their soul energy that were sharing a lot of half truths and regurgitated knowledge. And I was like, in spiritual bypassing and all kinds of things. It was very surface level for a lot of them. And I was just like, I don't want to deal with being lumped in to that group of people. So I'm going to stop talking about light work because there's just a lot of false light out there. I don't want to have to define everything and explain myself all the time. So I'm going to talk about alchemy and magic and energy healing. And to do work around the word healing, by the way. But this year, I was like, this is when I need to start sharing the words that are most authentic to me. And I work with light and sound frequencies. I work with literal light, all kinds of colored light, golden light, light language. I never stopped doing that. I have my own energy alchemy modality that I am here to teach and to use to help clear people and activate their soul gifts. Evolutionary alchemy, it's light work because it makes you feel lighter. It unleashes your divine light. It's a restoration of the divine human template, and you are made of light at your core. It's just everything that you're not, all the traumas and dramas, creates the density that creates the shadows. So at your core, you are light. We unleash that. I want to talk about it. And I've started talking about it already. And as soon as I did, all of my friends and peers were like, oh, yeah, this year for me too. Light work. This is a thing we're here to do. We're here to talk about it. I saw even Lee Harris, if you know him, of Energy Updates, the channeler for the Z's. This like January thing or his year thing was like the rise of the light worker. I hadn't seen that before I brought this forward. And I was like, of course, it's time. This is a year of clarity, a year of abundance, a year of truth. And we have done so much work as a collective. And thank you because you were part of this, that we are ready to start shining and sharing our light and speaking more authentically. And it is safer than it ever has been, but it's not completely safe. You might lose some friends. People are gonna hate. People are gonna hate. And you gotta understand and be so unfuckable in yourself, you can shine your light and basically be like, if it's too bright for you, put on shades or go find less. If I'm too much, go find less. Elise Myers said that once, and I was just like, yes, yes, queen, yes. If I'm too much, go find less. Because what I have learned is the more authentic I share my voice, the more authentically I shine my light, the less I hold myself back, and the more I go like full weird, the more visible, memorable, and magnetic I become. You notice I redid my hair blue? I feel most like myself when my hair is one of these colors. This is a soul portrait. This is the colors that came through my soul when someone channeled it. So no wonder these are the colors that I've put on my head before. So it makes me feel more like me. But also, I'm not hiding the fact that I'm a weirdo that has loved having blue hair. It's like a signal in the wild that, I this is me. I don't know exactly what it signals. You tell me. Tell me what it signals. But when I was a performer, a teacher, the kids were always like more engaged when I had colored hair. So maybe it's just that we like looking at bright and pretty things. So what do we need to do? What do you need to release with the light of the full moon or just freaking any time? You can call on that Leo energy, the Leo energy of the sun. And the sun doesn't stop shining because somebody is like, it hurts my eyes, my skin is sensitive. No, the sun just shines. It just is. The sun is also synonymous with our soul. So take a lesson from the sun, and people can put on sunscreen, they can go indoors, they can look away, they can only come out at night, whatever. That's their responsibility. And your responsibility is just to shine, right? And dulling down our shine for the comfort of others, or because some people aren't going to get it and some people are going to lash out and hate us and say, like, you need Jesus on my first light language video. And I was like, dude, we are buddies. We are tight. I just, in that moment, I was like, ooh, this is actually me doing good because it means I'm shining my authentic light. We have to get our nervous system and our belief systems to the point where we feel so stable and solid that people can sling misunderstandings at us. And we're just like, it's not for you right now, then, without making it personal, without taking it as evidence that we should not, that we need to go away, that we need to do something different. So, what if we could actually take any kind of those hate and misunderstandings as evidence that we're actually doing it right? If we irritate somebody, if we trigger them, probably doing it right, because light can be very triggering, and it's actually a gift because when you have a trigger in your system, it's showing you something unhealed that you need to look at. They might not unpack it. They might not take the gift of being triggered, but this is actually, I've discovered, part of my human design and part of my mission here. I have a gate that's like the shock initiation gate. And it's like shock is one side of it and spirit is the other side of it. And I'm like, that makes sense. I'm here to trigger people. And some of them are going to take that trigger and be like, oh, okay, what can I learn about myself? What can I heal? Amazing. Thank you. Those are my favorite people, my favorite clients. But other people are going to be like, you trigger me. Go screw yourself. Like, get out of here. And that's okay. And some people are going to say, you trigger me, so you shouldn't exist. And they're going to throw more hate or they're going to project shit all over me that may or may not be true, but it's their truth because I can mirror stuff inside them. And I have a constant practice now of doing my inner work to be a clear channel for spirit to flow, because when the spirit flows through me and I am just being my authentic self, but mostly I'm regulated and I'm this clear channel because I'm not spinning with stuff being, the traumas, the dramas, the dysregulation, the stress, all of that, then I can be in this place where I'm like, I'm just not for you. That's okay. But when I'm spinning, when I feel like crap, when I'm overwhelmed, when I'm stressed, that's when their words could get under my skin. And I'm like, oh my gosh, really? Maybe I shouldn't say that. So my entire job over this last year has been deep, 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 deeper than I've ever done clearing and healing work so that I could show up this year and be like, Lightwork is back, bitches. It's back. Never went away. But I'm going to talk about it again. And I'm going to trigger lots of people. And I'm going to have to define what I mean by that, and I will. But their projections or misunderstandings, they don't have to hurt me. They don't even have to mean anything, except that I'm doing my job because I'm shining the light, and for some people, it's too bright. So, this is my invitation to you. Let this Leo energy illuminate for you whatever's ready to go. Whatever is ready to go that's in your way. Start small with what you're willing to share and let it grow. Every time you practice, every time you do share, Give yourself the grace and the kudos and the credit and be like, I did the thing. Yay. Congratulate yourself, celebrate. And if you notice resistance, but what do I need to do to move this? And when you get the haters, when people are like misunderstanding you, celebrate that too. Because for most of the time, what's really interesting, I'll leave you with this because I got to go pick up my kid from school. What 50% of the population will hate you for is what the other 50% approximately will love you for. So me talking about light work, sharing my light language, sharing my soul voice, sharing my weirdness, that's what's going to draw the people that are like here for me to speak to. That's going to draw them in closer. They're going to be like, yes, more, talk more. I love it. Do it. And other people, the more authentic I get, they're going to be like, she's such a fucking weirdo. I don't want to have anything to do with her. So I'm owning that now. People don't get it. That's okay. They might not get it ever. They might just not get it yet. I'm not going to hang out in judgment of myself because of what they're experiencing. I'm just going to show up for the people that want to play, that are here for the luminous evolution. Let's do this thing. 2024 is going to be wild. I have lots of things coming down the pipeline to support you in the clearing and healing and everything like that. At this current time, pre-sale for the Lightwork Prep School is on. If you want practices that help me go from secret mystic to six-figure globally visible light leader, I'm going to put them all in there for you. I'm so excited we get to do this together. Let's have some freaking fun with it. I barely looked at the comments here because my phone was at an awkward angle and I was just like feeling your energy, feeling your vibes. So I'm going to go through the comments after this, but I really have to go. But I love you. We'll talk soon.